Welcome to the Nursing 401 Information Literacy session. By the end of today's session, you will be able to navigate to relevant resources from the library homepage, convert a PICO question into a search string, and conduct and refine keyword searches with limiters and subject terms in CINAHL, MEDLINE, and PUBMED. In order to access our physical and digital collections, you'll first have to find your way to the library homepage. Because I'm sharing this presentation with you, you'll be able to click right over to the library homepage from the next slide. But don't forget that you have a library link available to you right in your dashboard when you log into your MyFSC account. The library page can be a little overwhelming. We have so many resources. But here are some tips for finding the resources you'll need for your project. We'll be discussing a number of specific databases you'll want to access for your project. To get to them quickly, you can click the Databases A to Z tab just beneath the search field at the top of the page. This will take you to an alphabetical list of our databases, so you can quickly find the specific database for which you're looking. If you're not sure which database to use, or if you'd like to see additional databases within your area of interest, you'll want to check out our research guides. We have a dedicated guide just for nursing students, so we'll be working with that today. You can easily navigate each guide by using the horizontal menu at the top. Today we're going to focus on two library databases, CINAHL and MEDLINE, and we're also going to work with a database called PUBMED. It's listed under websites because it's freely available on the web, but it is actually a database of biomedical and life sciences research maintained by the National Institutes of Health's National Library of Medicine, so it can be very helpful when conducting health-related research. Database research can be frustrating, so let's discuss some issues you might encounter and how to approach them. We are going to be spending most of today's asynchronous session working in the databases so that by the time you've completed this self-guided session, you'll have most, if not all, of the research you'll be utilizing for your assignment. If you've opted to discuss this session with a classmate and they seem to be finding everything they need while you're struggling, just remember that every search is different. There are so many variables that impact the type and quantity and quality of the results your searches might return, so don't get discouraged. For instance, academic research goes through a lengthy peer review process before it gets published in a journal. This entails an editor determining if the research paper is a good fit for the publication and then sending it out to reviewers who are experts in the topic covered by the paper. It can take months just to find folks who are both qualified and willing to review the paper, and once it's reviewed, it might need to go through several rounds of revision until it's fit for publication. In some cases, this could take a year or more, so if you're researching an issue or an intervention that is just starting to gain attention, there may not be much research on it just yet. However, there are also situations where there is an established body of research on a particular topic, and you're just having trouble tapping into it. In those cases, you'll want to keep the next tip in mind. It's also important to remember that the search you start out with won't be perfect. Even the best search you end up with may not be perfect, and you may have to try 20 or 30 different keyword searches just to get there. That's an unavoidable part of the research process. But knowing that means that when you hit a roadblock, it's not you, it's the nature of the process. So stop and take a look at what's working and what's not working, and modify your search accordingly. This could mean changing a keyword or using a variation of a keyword, adding more terms, taking terms away, and so on. I'll show you how to do this a little bit later. I should also mention that in addition to doing multiple searches for your topic, you're going to want to do multiple searches for each aspect of the topic you're covering or each research question you're trying to answer. More searches might seem like more work, but when you dedicate a search to a specific portion of your topic, you make your work a little easier because you have less results to sort through addressing that particular aspect of your topic. So, how do we actually go through the process of refining our searches so they get better and better as we go? We need a strategy which entails moving from using keywords to performing subject searches. But first we need to understand what's happening when we perform these searches and what makes them different. Most searches start with a keyword search. When we're interested in researching a topic, we go to the search field and plug in the words that make sense to us in terms of searching for our topic. The database then goes to its vast stores of data and returns to you any results in which the words you've typed appear. So if there's an item with one or more of your keywords in its title, abstract, the body of the article, or even the article's metadata, which is basically tags that help you organize the information, you'll get it in your result list. The problem with this is that sometimes you get results just because they have the word you searched for, but not because the article is actually about that topic. This is where subject searching can help. In order to help researchers find what it is they're looking for, databases use a tagging system known as controlled vocabularies, which includes subject headings and terms. These are strictly defined terms. They let you know not only what the article is primarily about, but also what they mean by those specific terms. So for example, if you do a subject search for myocardial infarction, every article that is returned will in some way be about, quote, damage to the heart muscle caused by reduced or absent blood flow to a part of the myocardium, end quote. Anytime we do a keyword search, we can refine our search by identifying which articles are closest to what we're looking for, and then using the subject terms assigned to those articles to create new subject-specific searches, which means more relevant articles, but less articles overall to sort through. In this case, moving to a subject search using our initial keyword search cut out over 1,000 items. So, in summary, the two most important things to remember at this point are as follows. When you're searching, you'll revise your search many times, and you'll construct individual searches for each area you're planning to address. You'll revise by looking at your best matches and paying close attention to the subject terms with which they are tagged. These can be used to create new searches. Now that you know what to expect, I will walk you through what this looks like in the databases that were recommended at the beginning of this session. First, we'll start with CINAHL, which stands for Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature. Remember, you can get here by locating CINAHL in the database A to Z listing or by going to the Nursing Research Guide. So, let's say that we're researching the role of a low-fat diet on heart attack prevention. At this point, we're just going to enter the keywords that make most sense to us to get our search started. Now, we can start to take a look at the subject headings associated with our search. As we look at the subject area, there are several terms that make sense for our search. Diet, fat restricted, cardiovascular diseases prevention and control, and myocardial infarction prevention and control. So we'll create a new search using some of those terms. In the first field, I'll enter heart attack prevention, and in the second field, I'll include low-fat diet. The number of results are manageable, but I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and I also want to make sure I'm cutting out as many irrelevant results as possible. So I'll look at my results to identify the subject headings associated with each of the articles that are relevant to my research question. I can see that instead of using the terms low-fat diet, the database uses diet, fat restricted, and instead of heart attack prevention, the database uses myocardial infarction prevention and control and coronary disease prevention and control. So I'll use those terms and set the drop-down menu to MW, word and subject heading. Now that we've revised our search to ensure that we're getting articles about our topic of interest, we'll use the limiters to filter out results that don't quite meet our criteria. We'll navigate to refine results, and although we aren't using this limiter in our search, the date limiter is very important if you require information published within a certain time frame. For your assignment, you'll want to make sure that the publication date limiter is set to retrieve results from the last 5 years. Then you'll select academic journals. Then we'll select our desired age range, which in this case is middle-aged, so 45 to 65 years. Then we'll select female under gender. Now we have fewer results that meet our criteria. We could filter further if we wish by using additional limiters, such as the publication date limiter, which we did not use in the previous round of revising, or we could remove a limiter from our search by clicking the little X next to it. Now you may be wondering, if subject headings are so helpful, why don't I just start with those? That's a completely valid question. but that requires learning how to conduct a separate search for the right terms to use. We're not going to focus too much on this strategy today, but I do have a quick video so you can see how this would look when using CINAHL or MEDLINE. You can access this video by playing it within the slide deck. Next, we'll move on to MEDLINE. Remember, you can get here by navigating to the library's database A to Z listing or by going to the Nursing Research Guide. Before we get started, let's revisit your PICO question. The question you formulate using PICO will be the basis for your search string in any of the databases you explore today. Let's say I want to know how low-fat diets compare to low-sodium and high-fat diets when it comes to preventing heart attacks in middle-aged females. Each of the components of PICO, except time, can become part of our search string. While you may be used to searching Google by entering questions, the databases work best when you convert your question into a search string. This involves combining keywords using Boolean operators. AND is one of the most common operators. It tells the database that you want results in which two or more terms appear together. So if we want to answer the question of how effective a low-sodium diet is in preventing heart attacks in middle-aged women, we might convert that into a string that looks like this: low-sodium diet and prevention and heart attack and female. This tells the database to return to us results in which all of these words appear within the same article. Now, you might be wondering why I skipped middle age. This is because CINAHL and MEDLINE both have an option to filter results by age range, so I am going to let the filter do that job rather than add it to my keyword search. Again, this is just to get you started. You'll want to refine your search as you go by identifying subject headings and using those terms to perform subject searches. Now, as you collect subject terms, you might see that they're classified a bit differently. So what's the difference between a word in a subject heading and an exact subject heading? This is a bit advanced, and we could spend all day talking about how subject headings are constructed. So for now, we're going to move on, but I've created 4 different searches for you to explore on your own time using the different subject options. You can access this in the slide deck. But really all you have to remember is that if you conduct an initial keyword search and you see a subject term with which you'd like to create a new search, all you need to do is enter it into the search field and set the drop-down menu option to MW word in a subject heading. When you do this, you won't have to worry about knowing where the term is located within the subject heading. It will search the whole heading. As you can see, MEDLINE looks almost identical to CINAHL. That's because this database is provided by the same vendor, and that's what's going to allow us to combine searches in just a moment. But for now, we'll take a look at MEDLINE by itself. Again, we want to start out simple. We can type in a simple search such as heart attack and prevention and low-fat diet. We can then go to our limiters under Refine Results. First, we can limit to the last 5 years using the publication date limiter. Then we can limit by age to middle-aged. We cut our results by half, but we can also revise our keyword search using the strategy we reviewed earlier. Once you have your results, make sure to review the subject terms associated with all of the relevant articles in your result list. Then you can rerun the search with your new terms. Just as a reminder, you will have an opportunity to try out these databases throughout this session. In both MEDLINE and CINAHL, you'll be able to share your search in the activity that accompanies this video by going to Share and copying the permalink. This is important because if you copy the link in the address bar, you won't be able to return to your search. You must use the permalink to return to your search if you're not planning to review all of your results at once. It's also a good idea to save the permalink to your search because technology isn't perfect, and every once in a while the database session times out if you haven't been active. Saving your search ensures that you'll always be able to come back to your results without having to configure them all over again. You can also use individual articles to assist you in determining the terms that will make most sense for your search. For instance, let's say you conducted a keyword search and you found a relevant article. You could go to the article, look at the mesh terms, and then copy these into a new search. Databases use what is known as a controlled vocabulary to organize materials by topic, geographic location, population, and so on. Because different authors might be using different terms to describe the same ideas and concepts, It's easy to miss relevant resources when only searching by keyword. Additionally, keyword searching ensures only that you locate articles in which the terms appear, but does not guarantee that the articles are actually about that topic. When you utilize controlled vocabularies such as mesh to search, you can be sure that if they are tagged with a mesh term, the content of that item will be focused on the topical area indicated by the mesh term. So let's do a new search with the terms we found from the last article. We'll plug in the mesh terms and set the drop-down menu to MW word and subject heading. We get way fewer results than when we relied just on keyword searching, and we know that every article will be about low-fat diets and preventing heart attacks. Now we can focus on narrowing even further using our limiters. We'll limit to academic journals, scroll down, limit based on the age range of interest, and then limit to the gender of interest. With a few clicks, we've cut out more than half of our results. Now we can open up an article of interest. Notice we didn't click full text. Even if we do not have an article, you can request it through interlibrary loan, which we'll get to in just a little bit. If there is no PDF, click Find Full Text to see if it's available in another database. You'll also want to check out the Tools menu. Click Cite to generate an end-of-text citation for the article. Remember, this is a computer-generated citation, so there may be errors. You can use the templates on the APA citation slides, which are coming up, to make sure that your citation is correct. You can also generate a permalink. This is important because if you copy the link at the top of the address bar, you won't be able to return to this article. It's also important because I'm going to ask you to share links to articles you select as part of the activity that accompanies this video. So make sure that you use the permalink to generate a stable, permanent link. One of the great things about the fact that MEDLINE and CINAHL are available from the same vendor, which is EBSCOhost, is that we can actually search both databases at once. Setting up your search is simple and will allow you to perform a search in 2 databases at once using all the skills we've just reviewed so far. I'll show you how to do this in the next slide, but I'm also including an example that you can come back to here. You can see how moving from keyword search to subject search can reduce the number of results while increasing the precision of your search. To combine databases, click Choose Databases. Check off MEDLINE and CINAHL and any other health-related database you'd like to include. Then click OK. Now you can search multiple databases at once. Your searches in the database can also help you search in other databases. We're going to look at a publicly available database called PubMed, but you can use the mesh terms you identified in the library database to craft your new searches in PubMed as well. So let's head over to PubMed. Searching PubMed is easiest when you know which mesh terms to use. But how do you know which mesh terms to use? Mesh on Demand can help you figure out which terms will be best for your search. Here's an example. First, we can pop in the common term heart attack and click Search. This creates a crosswalk between the common term and the mesh term. Now we know that we should use myocardial infarction. If we have questions about what the term includes or broader or narrower terms related to it, we can click the term. We get an overview of what the term does and does not include, qualifiers, which really describe specific aspects of the term, such as prevention and control, and a glance at how the term relates to others within the hierarchical mesh structure. For now, we're going to work with myocardial infarction and the qualifier prevention and control. When you get to PubMed, you'll click Advanced. Now you can use the drop-down menu to select what the term is. In this case, we know from Mesh on Demand that myocardial infarction is a major topic and prevention and control is a subheading. Enter the terms and then click Search. Now we need to add in filters to help us narrow down our search. So the first step is to click Add Filters to allow us to choose the filters we need. Now that we've added additional filters, we can use them. And they make a huge difference. Look how many thousands of results we've cut out. Now we can navigate to the article. In the right-hand corner, you'll be able to see where the article is located. If it is openly available on the web, or if it's in a database to which we subscribe, you'll be able to use this section to access it. If not, you can request the item through interlibrary loan. What's interlibrary loan and why is it important? Again, if we do not have an item that you require for your project, please make sure you request it through ILLiad. You can access our interlibrary loan resources from any library page by clicking the Interlibrary Loan tab beneath the search field, or by clicking the link from the slides. Once you arrive, you will click New Requests. Select the type of item you wish to request, and then complete the information requested. So now that we've found our sources, how do we cite them? In this course, you'll be using APA style. Since your assignment focuses primarily on scholarly journal articles, the good news is that you'll be relying on one citation format for most of your references. However, there might be variations depending upon the number of authors for each article. Let's go through the basic citation for your reference list. First, we have the author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the author's first initial, followed by a period. The year in which the article was published is contained in parentheses and is followed by a period. The title of the article is in sentence case, meaning you only capitalize the first letter of the first word, proper nouns, and the first letter of the first word appearing after a colon. This is followed by a period. The title of the journal in which the article was published is italicized, and unless the journal deliberately employs non-standard punctuation or capitalization, is written in title case, meaning that all words are capitalized except for articles, conjunctions, and prepositions. This is followed by a comma, followed by the volume number of the publication in which the article appears, which is also italicized, and this is followed by the issue number in which the article appears. The issue number is not italicized and is enclosed within parentheses and is followed by a comma, which is followed by the pages on which the article appears. This is followed by a period. The final part of the citation is the digital object identifier, or DOI, if available, or the permalink to the article. Although articles and databases are often accompanied by a permalink, this might be called by other names, such as a stable link, or a persistent link, or a permanent link. For two authors, the only difference will be that you will include the last name of the first author, followed by a comma, followed by the first author's first name initial, followed by a comma, followed by an ampersand, followed by the second author's name, followed by a comma, then followed by the second author's first initial, and followed by a period. For three authors, you'll include the last name of the first author, followed by a comma, followed by the first author's first name initial, followed by a comma, followed by the second author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the second author's first initial, followed by a comma, then include an ampersand, which is followed by the third author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the third author's first initial, followed by a period. If you have over 20 authors, you'll include the first 19 authors using the last name, comma, first initial, comma format. After the 19th author, you'll include an ellipsis, and then the last author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the last author's first initial, followed by a period. When referencing your citations in the body of your paper, you can do so either parenthetically or narratively. If you've paraphrased material without introducing the author as part of the sentence, you can use a parenthetical citation. For one author, you'll include in parentheses the author's last name, followed by a comma, and the year of publication. For two authors, you'll include the first author's last name, followed by an ampersand, and then the second author's last name. You'll follow the second author's last name with a comma and the year of publication. This will all be enclosed in parentheses. For three or more authors, you'll use only the first named author's last name, followed by the phrase et al., followed by a comma and the year of publication. In any of these formats, if you are directly quoting material, you'll follow the year with a comma and the page or page numbers from which the material was quoted. Sometimes it makes more sense to introduce the author or authors as part of the sentence. In this case, if you're introducing one author, you'll include the year of publication in parentheses immediately after the author's last name. When introducing two authors, you will write "and" rather than use an ampersand between the two authors' last names. You'll include the year of publication in parentheses immediately following the second author's last name. If you have three authors, you'll introduce the first named author's last name, followed by the phrase "et al., and you'll include the year of publication in parentheses immediately following "et al." When introducing the author or authors before quoting a work, you'll include the page number for the quoted material following the excerpt. If you're looking for additional guidance on APA citation, there are several resources we recommend. You can access all of our resources from the Citation Help section on the library homepage. Even though we covered a lot in this video today, we know that conducting research can be an overwhelming experience, so please don't hesitate to get in touch with us by phone or email, or by stopping by at Greenlee Library. We're always happy to help you with your research at the reference desk.